There's several signs that a business or organization needs your help as a consultant. They're looking for your expertise, or at least they're in a position where they're likely going to be considering it. I'm going to share with you the 10 things to look for that signal an organization can benefit from external expertise. And I'll just say there's many more than 10, but I'll go over the 10 with you here today to start. So the first is stagnation or decline, right? If a business is experiencing a plateau or a decline in sales, their revenue or market share maybe is decreasing or declining, it may indicate that they are in need of guidance. They need help with their strategy. They need help to get things back on track. There's lots of ways that you can access that data and see, which companies, which industries are growing, which are declining. And that may be an indication for you of who to reach out to and who to focus on in terms of your marketing and business development efforts. Number 2 is ineffective decision-making. So this is harder to see from the outside, but you can certainly hear about this when you're well connected, right? When you're going to events, when you're talking to people, when you maybe are, reading on certain social media platforms, you can start to kind of pick up some of this. And it typically looks like frequent indecision, poor judgment, they're impulsive, right? So the leaders are impulsive to make choices. All of this can signal a lack of clarity or direction. So you may not be able to pick this up just from, looking at some data online like you can with identifying which companies are declining or at a plateau. But again, if you have a good network, if you're tapped in, if you're really paying attention to the signals, if you start hearing about ineffective decision making, if you're targeting public companies, for example, it's often going to be on the news or in other sources, reading publications. This is why a lot of people find great value in reading things like the Wall Street Journal or, Bloomberg and all these other ones, whatever it is, whatever your industry and so forth. But again, if you are studying and researching and staying up to date, you'll be able to pick up on which organizations and which leaders are maybe facing ineffective decision making. The third is unresolved internal conflicts. So this looks like persistent disagreements, tension, power struggles within the organization. All of that can really hurt productivity and morale. How do you pick this up? Well, one is you might find this that even you're talking to a prospective buyer and they start to mention these things, or you're talking to somebody that you know and you hear that this is happening inside of the organization, right? You might be at an event, you might be on a panel, you might just be part of conversations, but internal conflicts, right, is usually a sign that there can be improvement and there's clear ROI to improving that, because if everybody is in disagreements, it means that things are typically taking a lot longer, bad choices are being made. Again, that hurts productivity and morale. The fourth is low employee morale. So I just talked about that, but there's ways to look at this, right? You can actually use services like LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and there's Glassdoor as well, which can help you to identify organizations that either have low employee satisfaction scores, as well as those that are seeing people leaving, employee turnover, right? People leaving the organization. So their satisfaction rates are down, engagement is down, retention rates are down. All that is usually a symptom of a deeper kind of underlying issue, which might be a great opportunity for you to help that organization. The next is inefficient processes. So if operations are slow, if they're inefficient, if they're costly, that can indicate a real opportunity for improvement in their processes and real optimization around that. Again, this is the kind of thing that you typically pick up in conversations. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you today is because when you kind of note these down, you know what to look for. And previously, maybe if you weren't paying attention to these, you'd have a conversation, it would just kind of fly by you, like you wouldn't really notice it. But if you know what to look for, you start to see a lot more opportunity all around you. And if you're looking for guidance about your specific situation, if you'd like help to get a strategic growth plan in place for your specific consulting business, just click the link below this video or head on over to consultingsuccess.com and click on coaching. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you and explore how we can help you to take your business to the next level. Let's go back now to number 6, which is a lack of innovation. And this typically kind of shows up that there's other companies in that industry that are out innovating the competition. So if you see companies that aren't innovating at the same level and their competitors are doing a lot more than they are, that generally means that there's a lack of innovation inside of that organization, which could signal an opportunity. And you see this in all industries, whether it's in the automotive industry or the personal computers or personal devices industry. I think Nokia is a kind of classic good example. I remember way back in the day, actually, I invested in Nokia and I held onto that investment for too long, and Nokia started to tank, and other companies started to come up. But there was a clear lack of innovation at that time in that company, right? Somebody just got a little bit too comfortable and didn't see that there was a lot of additional innovation happening around them. And when they started to notice it, it was kind of too late at during that period of time. This is true in all industries, right? If you can identify companies that aren't innovating as well as they could be right now, there's a lack of innovation. That could be an opportunity for you, if that's your area of expertise, to help them to increase their innovation at a faster rate, in a more effective way. The other kind of end of this is that companies that are actually doing very well with innovation, in many cases, they also have needs for external expertise because they're growing faster, they're pushing the bar, they're doing more R&D, and so there's a lot of kind of knock-on effects of that, which could also create some fantastic opportunities for you to help. So don't always focus on companies that are struggling. There's usually actually more opportunity to help companies that are doing well. Companies that are struggling tend to be struggling because they haven't invested in themselves, right? They haven't done what they need to do. They're kind of become a little bit too comfortable, or there's just too much conflict. And so working with them in many cases is not as enjoyable, it's harder, and they're not open to working with outside consultants as often as those that are already doing well. Because those that are doing well, the reason they're doing well is because they tend to tap into external experts. They have advisors, or they're willing to bring people on to help them because they're growing to new levels and they need support beyond where they are, or to create, to bring in new technology systems or whatever it may be. So both provide opportunity. I'm just painting the picture here for you today in this video about what to look for, what signs are often at play, so that you can consider which organizations might need and could really benefit from your expertise. So the seventh is difficulty in scaling. And this is kind of related to what I was talking about right now, right? As companies become more successful, they're reaching new levels. And if you think about each new level that they get to, right, kind of each new step that they go up to, their current technology systems, their infrastructure, the way that they even kind of run the business, the operations, the management, the reporting, all of these things start to break down. And it doesn't always happen when you just go one level up. But if you go from, let's say, level 1 to all of a sudden level 3, the systems and the technology and everything that you had that was working for you at level 1, fine. Level 2, it was okay, started to strain a little bit, but now you get to level 3, things start to break. You can find opportunities with those kinds of companies that are growing rapidly, because they recognize that in order to continue growing, and in order to make their current growth manageable and enjoyable and profitable, they need somebody to help them to make the most of that. That's a fantastic opportunity. Probably one of my favorite from all the ones I'm going to go over with you here today. So that's number 7. Number 8 is poor financial performance. So if the company's losing money, if they're negative cash flow, if they have high debt levels, these are all clear indicators of financial distress, which could be a fantastic opportunity for you if that's your area of expertise. Then number 9 is regulatory compliance issues. So you'll see this kind of show up if you're paying attention to the industries, if you're reading the news, if they're having frequent audits, fines, legal challenges, all that can suggest that they need to improve their compliance. And we have a whole bunch of clients who are in the compliance space in different kind of industries and areas, and that's what they specialize in, right? Companies, as they start to establish or get to higher levels and grow more, or if they're in certain industries that have a lot of regulation, compliance is a very important part of what they do, or needs to be an important part. So if that's your area, that could be something for you to be paying attention to and looking at. And then number 10 is ineffective marketing and sales. If a business is really struggling to attract new customers and clients, or to retain clients, or to expand the clients they have with new products or new services, those are all signs of marketing or sales challenges, right? Could also be signs of product development challenges. And so if that is your area of expertise, right, you could look at the companies that are doing very well in any given industry, those that are capturing a lot of market share, and you could look at those that are maybe number 2 or number 3 or number 4 in that market, and look at how is market share changing, where are there maybe opportunities to help the number 3 move to number 1, or the number 5 to move to number 3, and then after to number 1. Of course, you still need to have conversations, but if you can identify where there might be opportunities based on what we're talking about here in this video, and if you're listening to it right into the audio, these are all things that you should be paying attention to. So if right now you feel like you're struggling to grow, if you're stuck at a plateau, feel free to get in touch. There'll be a link below this video, probably somewhere in the description, or just head over to consultingsuccess.com, click on coaching. We'll be happy to set up a conversation with you, chat about where you're currently at, where you want to get to, and what steps you need to take to get there.